I'm doing a little chit chat video with you right now. Not really doing any makeup reviews or unboxing. I am going to be cleaning my brushes. And I figured I'd do a little update on how I'm doing, my health and everything. I know some people have questions. So I figured the best time to do one of those videos is when I'm not really, you know, distracted by, ooh, makeup, shiny stuff. So, sit back with me and listen to my adventures with the healthcare system. So, I've got a little, oh my goodness, excuse me, a little bowl. Today I'm going to be using the a brush cleaner method. I don't have the patience today to use shampoo or another kind of cleaner for my brushes, so I'm going to do the quick way and use my Cinema Secrets makeup brush cleaner. It is a quick drying formula. All you gotta do is put some in a bowl, dip your brush in it to about like this point. Like, you don't want to ever get to this metal part, because if you get it wet, that's when you can get the brush fall out, because the glue has been compromised. If you want to see more in-depth explanation on different ways to clean your brushes, I do have a previous video. If I remember, I will link it in my description box. And if you haven't watched it, or you don't really know how to make, clean your brushes, that's a good one to watch. So, I'm making sure I'm on camera here. I like to use a little bit at a time, because once you start getting certain colors, it makes the solution dirty quickly. So this is not cheap. So I try to clean efficiently, and so I don't waste a lot. So, and I'm just gonna wipe off everything on this towel. And some brushes soak up this solution way faster than others, like these. These I usually do try, and I might still do the shampoo or other cleaning solution, because, as I said, this is expensive. So these will probably, I only have like one. Like the really dense ones, like for your face, they will soak up a lot. So figure out, I will do those shampoo. If you know already, please excuse the retelling, but I got diagnosed with diabetes back in April, beginning of April, last day of March, and I was in the hospital for 5 days. Had no idea I had diabetes, so it was kind of a surprise, real surprise, honestly. And when I got released, I went home. Well, I went and picked up my prescriptions, went home. It was late afternoon, about dinner time, like 5, 6 o'clock, something like that. And from there, I had to make an appointment with my primary care doctor for a follow-up within 2 weeks. I did that. The endocrinologist was a little more tricky to get into, being a new patient and all. I think that was about a month after I got released. And oh my god, get on there. What is wrong with you? Alright. So, they had me on metformin, which is a pill that's supposed to help you lower your A1C, which is an important number when you're testing your blood. That's not the number that you test yourself with every day. They actually have to draw blood and send it off to the lab for all that. So when I got released from the hospital, the day I was getting released, I asked what my A1C was because no one had told me. Like, they only would come in and, poke my finger every 4 hours to test my blood glucose, and it was all over the map. And I hadn't really ever known much about diabetes. I mean, I know what it is, but as far as number-wise, like your glucose, I had no idea. So they're spitting all these numbers out to me, and it means nothing to me. It's like, it's all Greek. So when I was in the hospital, I started doing a little bit of research on my phone, kind of reading up and reading different sites and different articles, so I could kind of familiarize myself with, what was going on and what they were telling me and how I was doing, which still, when the first day and a half, I went in on a Wednesday afternoon around 2. Surprisingly, it was a very short wait in the ER, so I got very fortunate. I think I was there for like 15, 20 minutes, maybe a half hour at the most, waiting to get called back. Got called back. They put me on, one of the beds, kind of assessed me, and took some blood. A few hours later, I think around 6 p.m., they wanted me to go pee in a cup. So I was on my way to the bathroom to do that, and the ER doctor that was taking care of me, I ran into her, and she's like, I think we figured out what's going on, and we'll talk when you get back. So came back to the bed, and when she got back around to me, she told me that I have diabetes. So, okay, around midnight that night, so they were going to admit me, obviously, because I was not well. And knowing I was diabetic, I had no idea what to do or anything. So they take me and put me upstairs in the ICU because I was in really, really bad shape. Like, I hadn't eaten really anything other than like soup and Slurpee that I vomited up. That was like a few days before I went to the hospital. Knowing now, that's pure sugar. And no wonder why I puked it all up, because my pancreas was like, oh, hell no. This is not what we need. So I was in that ICU from midnight Thursday morning until, I think, Friday around 5 or 6 p.m. And it felt like longer. I mean, it could have felt that long because I just wasn't feeling well, or it could have felt that long because they kept coming and sticking me and, giving me fluids and all that stuff. I mean, I was on like 8 different IV fluids all at once at one time. It might have been 9 even. But that's how, like, I guess dehydrated I was, and nutrients I was, lacking from not eating for 3 weeks, basically. So I was in in there. And then, like I said, Friday, they let me go up. That was an ICU where it was a solo room, so I was in, like, they had glass doors. They didn't ever shut my doors. I wasn't contagious, but, that's the kind of room I was in. And so, go downstairs a few floors, and then I get a roommate, and she was really awesome. We actually had a good time. Bless her heart. She had gotten, I don't know if I told the story, but she was riding in like one of those electric scooters, like for people who can't walk very far or at all. And she was in a crosswalk, and a car hit her. She flew out of the chair, landed on the street. She had a couple bones in her back broken. I think her pelvis was broken. One of the bones, and I think her left leg was broken. I think it was the femur. And then a couple other things. But she could have been the morphine, but she was actually in good spirits for the most part once they, got the morphine going, when it would wear off. And she was obviously miserable because it had happened the Sunday of the week that I went in, so it was fairly new. And a very sweet lady. I gave her my phone number, but I guarantee you she lost my card, which kind of sucks. I would have liked to have known how she was doing, but oh well. Okay, we were good roommates, so like every day, like until Thursday when they came in the morning, when they do their morning rounds, the doctor started talking about I would be able to go home soon. And I'm like, oh, damn, I mean, I don't even know what I'm doing yet. This just doesn't make any sense to me, like what I'm supposed to be doing for myself when you're already like pushing me out of the hospital. Not that I wanted to stay, but he said it was all depending on my numbers and how they did. So like I said, my numbers were all over the place for the first few days. When Saturday rolled around and I was downstairs in the other room, he said I might be able to go home. On the Friday night, they said I might be able to go home Saturday, depending on how my numbers were in the morning. Well, like, they took so many, so many, glucose tests that all the numbers were just all over the place. They were from anywhere. I don't think they told me. I think one of them I might have been in the 300s. And then I kind of was usually in the 200s, especially in the morning. So they were giving me one metformin in the morning before I ate, and then they switched it to taking the metformin at night. And I think that kind of helped because they were basically why they kept me so long is they were trying to see how my levels were, how my numbers were doing with meals, and if my body was accepting everything, and if it looked like I could be controlled. It didn't seem like they were giving me a lot of insulin each time, so for that amount, because they gave me a certain insulin before I ate each meal, and then they gave me another insulin at night before I went to bed, or whenever they rolled around. So they were basically just trying to figure what was working, if anything. And around Sunday, I really thought I was going to be able to go home. And I didn't. They said my morning number was still too high. So Monday comes around, and they tell me around 11 in the morning that I could go home that day. So I was surprised because my number was still in the 200s, and from what I was understanding, that was a little too high still. But, so I asked the doctor when he told me I could go home, I'm like, are you sure? I'm like, it seems like it's still high. He's like, no. He's like, that's fine. You know, your body's going to have to take time to adjust, you know, continuing taking the medicine and insulin and watching your diet and get that all under control. You know, it's going to take a little time. So when I was getting released, I asked for the printout of, which they probably would have given me anyways, but the printout of everything that was done to me, test-wise, and, you know. And I swear to God, they gave me a package like that thick. So I was kind of looking through, because I was curious. I asked one of the nurses, I'm like, well, what's my A1C? Because everyone was asking me, what's your A1C? What's your A1C? I'm like, they haven't told me. So she had to go look it up, actually. They didn't include it in my records I was taking home. So at that point, and I don't know if that was when I got there or the last day, it must have been the last day, my A1C was 13.6, I think, which is high. You're supposed to be under 7. So the 2-week checkup with my doctor, she sent me to go get, no, they did the test there. They did my blood again, and the week later I went back and said my organs were looking fine. Like, there didn't seem to be any kind of kidney damage, liver damage, pancreas seemed to be doing okay. And my A1C had dropped to, I think, 10.4. I could be wrong. It was a 10, I know that. And so that was at least good. And 2 weeks later, I went to my endocrinologist and met with her for the first time. I don't know, I think I ruined this brush. Oh, no, I didn't. Okay. I had black gel liner on this thing. It was stiff as heck. Met with her. She lowered both of my insulins just a tiny bit. The nighttime insulin, she dropped me from 14 units to 14, no, from 17 units to 14 units. The mealtime insulin dropped me from 5 units to 3. And, you know, sent me on my way. I haven't been back to see her yet. Really hard to get in to see them. They are busy. It doesn't help that they're right across from the hospital that I was at. So I did doing what I was supposed to do. Let me rinse this out, because I don't know if you can see the water is really gross now. Was doing what I was supposed to do, taking my insulin and all that, and my medication, and trying to do the best with my my diet, which wasn't that hard, honestly. I try to eat somewhat healthy, but I will admit, the last, with the pandemic going on and everything, I stopped cooking as much as I used to, just because I was feeling so crappy for a year, like literally in bed with no energy for months and months, just lethargic. So doing the best that I could with my diet and all that, and then my insurance, crappy insurance, decided that things were running too smoothly for me. So let's switch things up. They said that they were going to switch me from the insulins that I was on to generic forms, which is fine. I don't care about that. But they didn't want to cover it. They didn't want to give them to me. So why did you want me to switch if you're not going to give me even the one that you told me you wanted me on, that you would cover? So I went for about I went to my doctor. I couldn't get into the endocrinologist, and the lady I talked to at the endocrinologist office was absolutely no help to me. She was like an idiot. I was not happy with, because I kept telling her that she needed to call the insurance company, or they had to get a hold of the insurance company, and if they wanted me on the original stuff, they had to tell them and, I guess, give a reason why or whatever. And she kept saying, "Oh, I'll contact the pharmacy." I was getting really impatient. I'm like, you don't call the pharmacy, you call the insurance, not the pharmacy. Walgreens is not in charge of what is being covered by the insurance. So, and then I had to switch pharmacies. I had to switch from Walgreens to, luckily, the grocery store right by my apartment that I can walk to because I don't have a car. But, so I had to switch everything over, which was pretty easy. I just did it all online. And, but then they wouldn't give me the insulin, and I started freaking out. Like, I've not been diabetic. This was June is when they started messing around with me towards the end of the month. Maybe it was the beginning of July. I don't know. Yeah, probably July. But, they start messing with me, and I'm not taking insulin, and I've had it beaten to my head that insulin is a life-saving drug. And I was told when I was in the hospital that they can't deny you the life-saving drugs. Well, I guess they can, because they were. And I had gone to my doctor, my primary care doctor, like 3 times in that, when things weren't going through, they weren't covering things. And she kept resubmitting and resubmitting and resubmitting. And they just weren't doing it. And finally, they started giving me the insulin, which is their funny joke on me, because they had switched me from a vial, like this. I had 2 of these. This is my mealtime, and then I had a kind of a different one for my nighttime. Well, they switched the nighttime from a vial to a pen. Fine, whatever. I would, be shown how to use it and figure it out. Except they with the pen comes certain needles that go on the pen, not like a syringe like this that I use for the vial. So again, I'm at the doctor trying to get them to push through and, give me what I need, and they're not giving it. So first they wouldn't give me any new syringes, so luckily I still have some. Because the endocrinologist told me that not to take the mealtime insulin if my pre-meal number is under 100. So that's what I aim for. So I hadn't been taking the insulin 4 times a day. Sometimes I only took insulin once, and that was the nighttime insulin. I had to always take that. So I luckily have some syringes still left over. And so they wouldn't give me the needles for the pen that they switched me to, but they would give me the insulin, and then they gave me the insulin for the mealtime, but they wouldn't give me any new syringes, and then they wouldn't give me the test strips to go with the glucose monitor that I was using. So I was running around and I didn't have insulin to take, and I had no idea how my numbers were not taking insulin. So I was doing the best I could with my diet, keeping on track. I had May, June. So I had like 2.5 months between when I got diagnosed to the messing with me from the insurance. So I kind of knew what I could eat, what I couldn't eat, what would spike my numbers. Obviously, anything with sugar or a lot of sugar. And yeah, so I had no idea what my numbers were. So I really was like kind of panicked and like, how is this even allowed? Like, you're not giving. I thought this life saving medication thing was like some sort of understanding that you have to give people what they need. Well, so I think in their funny way, it's like, well, we'll give you what you need, but we're not going to give you everything that goes with it. So, yeah, I'll be switching my insurance company with open enrollment comes around this year. For sure. And I'm on Medicaid because I don't have an income. I don't really have a job, and I haven't really had any clients since before everything shut down, because now everything costs an arm and a leg, and people don't. I live in Vegas, and people don't really go to a lot of events right now, or they do, and they don't have money to, pay for a makeup application. So finally, they decide that they're going to give me a new monitor to test my glucose, prick my finger. And that was another thing. They didn't want to give me the needles either for my old device. So they give me a new device. They give me the needles for it, and then they give me the test strips for it. Finally, after almost about 3 weeks at that time, I have to go back to the primary care doctor, and I have to do my 3-month blood test to see how I'm doing. I tell her still don't have insulin, so we had no idea what my results were going to be. I'll do these later. And turns out when I went back for the results, my A1C was 4.8, which is shocking considering I didn't have the insulin. So what she told me after we marveled for like 10 minutes just looking at the test going, she's like, I've never seen somebody drop so much so quickly. And she's like, what, even though she's not the endocrinologist and she can't really tell me about my medications, but she can prescribe what I need. But I need to, in a couple of weeks, I'll be going to the endocrinologist and showing her the results and seeing what she says. But she was like, if it was up to me, I wouldn't even have you taking the nighttime insulin at all, because it clearly looks like you don't need it. You can control your diabetes with proper diet. So, fingers crossed. And that's what the doctor at the hospital had told me. He's like, I would love if 6 months to a year, tops, that you would be able to be off insulin and just take some pills to help you. And I don't know if that means the metformin or some other kind of pills. I feel good for the most part. I think that has a lot to do with really eating better and exercising, although I kind of haven't been exercising like I was like a month ago. It's just so freaking hot. Even though I was starting to swim, I need to get back to that. And just getting getting such a good number back from A&C was very surprising, and it makes me feel like it's not going to be as bad as for some people, and that could be hereditary. That could be just their lifestyle and how their diet is. I know so many people that are diabetic that continue to not. You can still eat a donut. You can still have ice cream. I mean, they try to tell you to do the smarter option, which there's a lot of options out now as compared to 20 years ago. A lot of companies offer or even specialize in sugar-free, low-carb items that taste pretty good. But like I said, I know a lot of people who still drink regular soda. They still eat a lot of processed foods, a lot of candy, a lot of carbs. So if you have something like a manageable medical condition that you can somehow affect how it's going, why don't you? I mean, why wouldn't you? I mean, I don't have any kids or anything, but I'm only 48, so I want to try to be around for another 20 years or so. And if it's something as simple as diet, and you don't even have to eat diet food, you just have to make smarter choices through your day. And, just start small. Start switching out one item that you eat a day that is meant to be consumed by somebody with diabetes. Start doing that, and then move it to 2 items a day, or 3, or 1 item in a meal. Just start out small. And there's tons of cookbooks and websites and recipes all over the place that you've got to at least find some foods that you like meal-wise, snack-wise. It's got to be some. And if you just don't want to do it because you're being told what to do, and you're that type of person, like you don't want to be told what to do, I get that, but it's your life. And it's not like a harsher disease that you can't actually contribute to changing how your body is, processing things. You're either stubborn, or maybe you just don't really feel that good about yourself and you don't want to make the change. No matter what you're going through, you should be able, if you can, contribute to your personal success. You should at least try, because you might surprise yourself. It might not be as difficult as you have it built up in your mind, And, I'm yawning. But if you don't try at all, whatever disease that you have or a medical condition, you're probably going to make yourself more miserable for longer, or it's going to really affect your health. I would just encourage you guys to try your best and to, don't give up. Because when you don't try at all, you kind of throw in the towel, If you stuck around to the end, give me a purple heart, please, in the comments. All right? I hope you're well. I hope to hear from you in the comments. And if you need someone to talk to, I'm here. Talk to me here or on Instagram. All right? All right, my friends. Until next time. Bye.